All right, and welcome back. We're noobs. We're not so good at the tech.
This is
Mm,
part two, I
Um,
guess.
it's a sad day.
if I can figure out how to make a link together, I'll do it. But I'm not, a pro. Oh my god, I'm so reflective in this. You can see the thing and everything. Okay.
Uh,
Um,
Anyway,
so where were we?
man, if anybody's watching this, they know we're a bunch of fuckers. All right. So the first two issues, not much happens. There's a general fight.
Mhm.
Oh, issue 3, the Ragnarok Thor thing.
Oh.
I don't think they're gonna do this or anything even like it in the movie. But
Mhm.
God, I
No.
wish they would.
they I don't think they will. I think that's something to do with the fact of what's going on with Thor in other comics at that
Yeah.
point.
Oh no, I know that he's not around for that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I would love to see what's his brother's name? Liam Hemsworth?
Liam Hemsworth, yeah.
I would love to see him come in as like a robotic cyborg version of Thor.
That gets his ass kicked.
Just to zap someone, I don't even care if it's some no-name hero played by the guy from, what's that shitty show I don't like? With the geeks.
Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, I want there to be a superhero played by the main guy from The Big Bang Theory, and I just want Liam Hemsworth to zap him right through the chest. That's what I want to see.
Okay,
Uh,
that would be pretty funny.
okay.
Exactly. I'm sure you can get him on the cheap. But either way, I love Ragnarok. I love the idea of Iron Man building
A
Thor,
robot.
and
A Thor.
well, the idea of weapons that strong,
Yeah, I know it makes sense. Because
because they kind of
I'll
tap into
admit,
it in
I mean, granted,
Oh, go ahead.
I still have just as much. What?
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was just gonna say, granted, I have as much knowledge of Goliath now as I did back in high school when I read this. But
Mhm.
I mean, having Robo Giant Thor show up, kill one of 3 black superheroes, that reads a little awkward, you know? That reads a little differently now.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Which is also, when you think about it, if you look at those Civil War previews that are coming out right now, who's the guy who's laying there like he's about to die? Fucking War Machine, the other black superhero.
Yeah, that is some bullshit. You don't mess with War Machine, all right?
Does anyone think Falcon's gonna make it now? I'm getting a little bit worried.
No, man, Falcon's gotta make it.
Falcon will be fine. They're bringing in fucking Black Panther.
That's so they can get rid of War Machine.
Anyway.
There can only be 2. It's like Walking Dead rules,
Hopefully not. Backing up to something, one thing I liked in issue 3 in the comic was when Iron Man goes to talk to Emma Frost
Mm-hmm.
for the X-Men, and then he's like, "Oh, ask the parents at Stanford, the town that got exploded,
Yeah.
if they think Captain America is still fighting a good fight." And she's like, "Oh, please don't try to blackmail me with genocide. Do you really want to compare notes? Where were the Avengers when Genosha died, Iron Man? Where were you when our babies were burning?" And it's like, yeah, that continent country we tried to make perfect for mutants, and then it got massacred. Yeah, where were you then? That was, I thought, a good moment and a good callback, and it
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, that was really smart on Emma's part, and that reminded me a lot of why I kind of like Emma Frost being on the side of the X-Men, because she's not afraid to call everybody else out on their shit. And it was pretty interesting. They still sort of snuck in the tension that whatever tension was going on with X-Men at the time, during the cleanup in Stanford, the X-Men are being monitored by Sentinels, and Wolverine's like, "Are you kidding me?" And obviously pissed. So I thought that was a nice little undercurrent that sort of weaved through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're gonna get your X-Men time in. Speaking of the moment like that, when I was reading this, and I've never read Civil War, I just sort of looked up the cliff notes on Marvel Wiki or something like that.
Yeah.
Reading this made me really, really, really want to go through and read the rest of the event. You know what I'm saying? What were the X-Men doing? What were the different crews doing? Because what we're saying now is it's like World War II, but just reading D-Day, the atomic bomb, and fucking Pearl Harbor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're getting the 7 bits of it. It's there's so much stuff they could be doing with this, and I'm wondering, did you either of you guys read more of the Civil War world?
I did, yes.
And is it good?
What I remember was very good. Yeah, I mean, what happens with what happens with Spider-Man? You see how how his like point of view on everything, and you see how he gets the Iron Spider costume. The Fantastic Four. That's something we could talk about real quick. Like what happens also at the beginning is like Johnny Storm gets like beaten by like a crowd outside a nightclub.
Mhm.
And eventually the Thing just says, "Screw you guys," and like leaves for Paris. And if I remember right, what actually was really good were the Wolverine tie-ins, because Wolverine, being who he is like, hey, why are we fighting each other? Let's track down the asshole responsible. So it's like him hunting Nitro, the supervillain who actually did the exploding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty awesome sequence of events that.
Yeah.
I don't remember a whole lot else.
Like I think some people's general consensus that I've heard is that like there are some parts of the tie-in books that are pretty good, but generally I think not a lot of people look on the main tie-in event fondly. And I'll even admit there's certain things that like came out of Civil War that when I read it in my early days of comics and emo high school child, I really liked. Like Speedball, who is directly responsible for fusion or whatever exploding, goes very deep into self-harm by basically wearing an Iron Maiden and calling himself Penance.
Yeah, because his powers change, and now they only work when he's in extreme pain.
Kind of, yeah. Which then he's on the Thunderbolts, which is I liked the run of Thunderbolts, and it's interesting. Eventually, he learns he doesn't need to be in pain to do it. And there's actually a mini-series book about him, like Penance Unbound or something, about him chasing down Nitro or whatever. And in the end, he's like, "I didn't make the suit for me. I made it for you, so you can bear the pain of all those losses." And it's a little cheesy. It's just like. At the time, I was listening to a lot of I don't know, My Chemical Romance and
Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah, all that shit. So I was just like, it's just so hardcore and awesome and sad. And it's like, and I take the pain so you don't have to. And it's like now I'm like, you know what, man? We could have sat you down for some counseling and a hug. And honestly,
you're looking at yourself problems now.
And honestly, that's it in the Thunderbolts. Like later on, that's how he realizes his powers don't need to be because of pain, because he gets counseled by like Doc Samson, and it's like we could have just done this from the beginning. We literally could have just done this.
It's funny how when you get older, like you look at like simple solutions like that. Like, why are you guys fighting? It's clearly a misunderstanding. Someone should buy like tacos and just talk this one out.
Like,
oh man, if every superhero conflict was solved through tacos.
Deadpool would be the strongest fucking hero. I'm telling you.
I want to have like a miniseries like comic about like the taco stand that they all just go to, like that they're sitting there. It's gonna be like one place.
I'm sorry, but we need to like start like we need to get like suits and cosplay and do like Seinfeld people in cars getting coffee. We need to do like heroes in costumes getting tacos. I'm telling you, this web series writes itself. We're set.
Yes, yeah.
Fiesta Day Super or whatever it's called. It would sound awful.
The Cape.
So if anyone's listening and wants to comment, tell us what you would name the taco stand superheroes would go to stop their disagreements, as opposed to having a civil war.
Yeah. I'll say this just to go back to Penance real quick. There was I just found this out recently. I guess there was like a Squirrel Girl tie-in or like a one-shot or something during the Civil War, like just after, where she runs into Penance. Mm-hmm. She's like, and like they know each other, like they're about the same age, and she's telling him, Robbie, his real name, you don't have to do this. We can get you help. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I must bear the pain. And then he like keeps smashing himself against a wall.
Oh yeah,
which
he totally does that. But that's
like,
never.
Yeah, I'll say this: if anyone is not reading The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, go do that right now. It's great. Mm-hmm. All right, go on.
Okay, so
no, what I was gonna say is Tom. You know probably more about the movie that's coming out than we do. And like I know, like I don't watch any of like the extended universe. I know there's it's the Daredevil's got his own show. The Punisher showing up on that. There's the whole Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. Like, are there any of those guys gonna be like doing cameos in this one? Because I would love to see like the little Punisher and Daredevil like a participant in this. Is that happening or no?
Those
For the
two
movie.
are probably a no. Shield will have a tie-in, probably.
Okay. Because that's what I wanted to see more. Because all we've ever seen is like the main Avengers cast getting ready to just punch the shit out of each other. You know what I'm saying? And like poor Ant-Man standing there like, guys, won this.
And we just lost Tom again.
And we lost Tom again. It's not a big deal. He can join
Whatever,
back in.
we're gonna keep soldiering on.
Exactly.
Generally, in speaking, like, well, Agents of Shield was created to be like tied in, like a TV show that ran like alongside the movies. So, and honestly, the tie-in for Captain America: Winter Soldier, in my mind, is kind of what saves the show, because the first like half of it is just like, oh, we're kind of like the X-Files or Fringe, but not as good. And then like Hydra and Civil War happens, and then it's like, wow, this is interesting now. So I'm sure there'll be things involving like the Civil War, like pick a side thing. I think the Marvel or the Netflix Marvel shows are kind of in their own bubble right now. Like maybe when Infinity War shows up, they'll come in.
Because I was just thinking about like scenes from the book that you'd want to see realized, and I was wondering if you had any of those. The ones I was thinking about is stuff like that, because like the Daredevil scene would be awesome, but there's a Daredevil character out right now. The Punisher scene would be awesome, but the Punisher is already a thing right now, so I don't think they can bring those in. And then the entire Fantastic Four stuff, like that's going to be all thrown out. So
well, and it's so weird. Well, and that's why, like I said, like it's going to be just so loosely, almost like based on it, because no, Tom's plugin crashed. Maybe he can come back in. It's like so many things don't seem to add up, like parallel, because like in this it's all about secret identities. Secret identities really aren't a thing in the Marvel movies. Like, not that people are like, oh hey, whatever the hell Hawkeye's first name is. But people are like,
isn't it Clint?
People are like, hey dude, he has returned. But and he's gone robot. But it's like those don't exist. A lot of some of the players don't exist. I could definitely see. So I don't even know if. And the motivations for Captain America seem a lot more about like protecting his friend Bucky, and also about like not necessarily wanting a lot of government oversight. Like, not that he's maybe against it, but he's like, I don't want you telling me who I can and can't save. Is I think his point. And then Iron Man still has PTSD from from Age of Ultron, where Iron Man thought he could fix the world, and then it was like, oh no, you pretty much almost destroyed a country.
And then real quick, Tom, I know that they're doing a Miss Marvel. All you.
Say again?
Go ahead, Tom.
I missed what you said.
No, I was going to ask. You can go ahead with whatever you're going to say too. But I was asking Nathan about like if we knew about any cameos that were coming in here, because I like the Punisher scene, I like the Daredevil scene, but those are already their own universes now in the TV shows. And I was asking, I think they're doing a Captain Marvel movie. Is Miss Marvel going to be in this one, or no? Is she not in the Civil War?
Well, the idea is that Carol Danvers is just going to be Captain Marvel straight up now. When she comes in, she was supposed to show up actually in Age of Ultron as one of the new Avengers, and they actually shot footage for it, but they ran out of time, and they still don't have the casting down quite right yet. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. If anything, I would say they're probably going to introduce Carol Danvers on like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something first in the movie, but I just don't know.
I could see it be possible that like they could have her like appear and it'd be like, oh hey, this is Carol Danvers, but they don't have it be like she has a power or an ability yet. Kind of like how in Ant-Man they have the Wasp, but she's not the Wasp until like the end of the movie, kind of a thing. It's like, oh hey, this is so and so, that kind of thing.
And then, Tom, if you're still there, I was talking about like what scenes from the comic book would you like to see them at least try to do in the movie? But it seems like you're a robot. Yeah, you're a robot. All right then. Anything else you want to talk about, or do you want to call it?
I think that's pretty good, especially with the amount of technical difficulties we had. Overall closing thoughts. There's a lot of good art in this book. The event itself is it's sort of an interesting. It could be an interesting idea. everyone is awful. Everyone's that does bad things for good reasons.
Mhm.
It's just a question of how far you're willing to go for, your good cause.
Mhm.
In that way, it's very typical Mark Millar, where if bad things are going to happen, they're going to happen. Like, he's done things I like Kick-Ass, I enjoy, but even in that book at times, I'm like, okay, you got to pull a punch somewhere, man. Please stop just beating everyone into the ground. So I don't know. I think I'm more excited about what the Civil War movie will be than if they had done like a 1-for-1 trade to movie thing.
Absolutely, it's got to be different because they couldn't do this as a movie because it's too deep in the universe. It's got too much stuff going on. I would love to see it because, like I said, I love the multiple perspectives and all that, like the different power levels and all that. But this is going to be Captain America and Iron Man punching each other in the face for about 2 hours, which is its own great thing. And like I said, if you are like not a normal comic book reader, I really wouldn't suggest Civil War. Like, I'd suggest like issue 7 so you can watch them beat the shit out of each other because you're not going to get the same investment in the world that you would be from reading another issue like what was it, Dark Reign. Dark Reign was an awesome world building.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing about Dark Reign is that there was no central event that was built around. There was no core Dark Reign miniseries. It was just, this is the entire status quo of the Marvel Universe. Norman Osborn's Secretary of State now. Fuck you.
Well, I'm saying the premise though, like, and then there was Siege. Siege was its own little
right.
But like those kinds of, I feel like those stories were more like this is something you could make a movie of, but also enjoy the universe. And this was just sort of this is a 7-issue series is honestly the worst of the Civil. Like, it sounds like the worst of it because it sounds like the more interesting stories are the Wolverine going off on his own and how the Fantastic Four is going to interact with these issues and stuff like that. So I would say that if you've never read this, read issue 7 and watch superheroes beat the shit out of each other, and then watch the movie.
Yeah,
I would say that. Yeah, this is honestly, it's not newbie friendly, and the fact that they're calling the movie Civil War to me continues this really frustrating trend Marvel seems to have of like naming its movies after like these big recent comic book events, but that's really confusing because the stories are totally different. Like Age of Ultron, the Marvel Universe event, is about a bunch of time travel hoop-de-doo mahoochapoo.
That's my favorite. As
opposed to Ultron showed up and he left everyone's shit.
Yeah.
I just really, it's OG, and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, as someone who actually did do that, it's like, this is one of my, I think it was like either this trade or one of my first like Daredevil trades that I got was my first sort of like, I'm getting into comics, I'm going to buy some trades, I'm going to like figure this stuff out. You can jump in wherever you want in comics. You just have to be willing to backtrack and look up stuff. But yeah, as someone who didn't know who a lot of these characters were, and now years into comics still don't know who some of these characters are, there's a pretty big bar of entry where it's just like, oh, do you know who Goliath is? He dies.
Now Nate's
and I'm like,
But yeah, exactly. It's an odd. Yeah, it very much, it was definitely made for, like, I'm reminded of, there was this one quote the writer-artist Paul Pope said when he had proposed, like, an all-age Batman comic for DC. He was apparently told, well, we don't make Batman comics for kids, we make them for 40-year-olds. That feels like who this is aimed at. This is aimed at, like, the lifer, and, and like I said up front, this is Mark Millar working through his feelings on the Patriot Act, and it doesn't. I mean, superhero comics aren't subtle. I mean, they can be, but they're usually not. But this, it just is. It's pretty to look at, but it doesn't really stick with you at the end of the day.
So it's like Chinese food.
I suppose.
Depending on where you get it.
Yeah.
No, because you kind of feel emotionally drained after Chinese food. This is like, what's pretty to look at? A White Castle burger. It's like, that looks like it could be tasty.
That's what it is. It's a White Castle burger.
There we go. So that's our review. White Castle burger out of 10.
Yeah. 4 out of 10, White Castle. All right. Anyway, 4-4 Reels Radio. I am Nate.
I'm
And you
Kyle.
Tom.
And Tom.
I am Tom.
All right.
I'm not sure
and
if you can see
remember-
me, but
I
I
don't know.
see you internet.
Anyway,
We get it. You're Tom. Later.
take care, Internet.